All right, guys. So today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about something we call preventative maintenance. Okay, PM for short, but preventative maintenance. Now, this is something we do on a lot of different types of machines and vehicles, stuff like that. One of the things that you're going to be most familiar with probably is changing engine oil, because that's going to be something that a lot of your parents or yourselves have either had to do or pay someone to do, because every so often engine oil gets used up and has to be changed out in order to keep those cars and vehicles, tractors, lawnmowers, all sorts of stuff running properly. Okay, so we've got today I'm going to talk to you guys about a lawnmower, because that's what I've got here and that's what needs a little bit of service. So we're going to talk about lawnmower stuff, and we'll do a brief overview of car stuff too, just so that you guys can have a better idea about what to expect. So when we're talking about a lawnmower, guys, it's lawnmowers, cars, very similar machines. They both drive, they both go places, both have engines in them that propel the wheels to drive. So lots of similarities, but the engines are much smaller in lawnmowers because they don't have to carry people. They don't have to do as much. All these guys are designed to do is let somebody ride on them while some blades spin and they cut some grass. So much smaller motors. Whenever we're talking about a lawnmower, you've got several different motor types that may be popping up. Now, you've got single piston, you've got double, twin as sometimes people call it. You've got two-stroke and you've got four-stroke, and those have different meanings. So we're not going to get into strokes and all that good jazz. Intake, compression, power and exhaust would be your four strokes, but that's a little bit more automotive than I want to get into. But basically, to condense and to, I guess, oversimplify, we're going to say that the main difference between a two-stroke and four-stroke, aside from the very obvious number of strokes, at least as far as we're concerned right now, is going to be whether or not oil has to be mixed in with the gasoline whenever it's used. Lots of small engines like chainsaws and some leaf blowers, even some pressure washers, lots of small gasoline engine motors have to have oil mixed into the gasoline. And whenever you see that, it's assuredly a two-stroke engine. So the oil doesn't have to move around in separate passageways. It cools the engine as it combusts and blah, blah, blah. So again, we're not going to delve too far into that, but we're just going to get a little taste. So the lawnmower I've got is a big John Deere Z225. It's a zero-turn mower, and it's got a 42-inch cutting deck on it. Got a single piston Briggs & Stratton motor on it. Okay, not anything huge, but it gets the job done. And this is it right here. So I just sprayed it down with the pressure washer so it wouldn't be as dirty and be easier to see some stuff. But when we're talking about preventive maintenance, guys, there are lots of different things that need to be checked, and just changed periodically, changed out, replaced. And the different time intervals that are required for the machines are always going to vary, and they're always going to come from the manufacturer. So in this case, John Deere made the lawnmower that I have. And since John Deere made it, we're going to say that John Deere's probably the expert on the product, right? So with any machine that you purchase new, now whenever you buy one used, it's going to be, the person that had it before you may have lost it or not given it to you. But whenever you buy these machines new, be it a car, be it a lawnmower, whatever, it's going to have a recommended service interval on there and tell you all the different things they want you to do. They're going to be very detailed. They are hoping that you come back and pay them to do it instead of do it yourself. So they're going to make sure that they give you everything on there that you need to make that vehicle or that machine run, and do so for a long time. And if you follow all of those recommendations from the manufacturer, you're going to get the best life out of that product that you could hope for. Now, are there going to be outliers? Are there going to be times whenever you do everything right and you just don't get the most life out of it? Sure. Any process is going to have a hiccup. Very, very seldom is something truly perfect. So don't sweat that. But, you just got to put your best foot forward. And whenever you maintain your machines properly and you service them when they're supposed to be serviced, they're going to last you for as long as that machine possibly could. And service makes a big difference. So, when we're talking about lawnmowers, guys, lawnmowers are what we call a seasonal item, okay? So, typically speaking, we're not going to be using lawnmowers all day, every day, all year long. The grass really doesn't grow much in, in the winter months, and, a lot of the fall, and even some of the spring, before the temperatures let back out. So, typically you're not going to do a whole lot of grass cutting and stuff like that, but, during the late spring, summer, and early fall, you can be doing a whole lot of grass cutting then. And so you use it really heavy for a short period, and then it lays up. So when something sits up, any kind of machine, doesn't matter what it is, sitting unused is going to be worse on it than, getting used every once in a while. So because we let these things sit idle for so long, there are some recommendations in place to do some, let's call it, some preemptive or in case of stuff, changing out of these parts. Now, on a mower, any mower, just about every season, they're going to want you to change the oil, change the spark plugs, plug or plugs, depending on if you have a single or dual piston, or what kind of machine you got. And some of them even have more than one plug per cylinder. So again, it's all about the machine. Whichever one you've got, you've just got to find the information for that one and follow its directions. So they're going to want you to change those plugs, those air filters, oil filters, fuel filters, all of that normal stuff, and sharpen the blades before each, cutting season. Now, obviously, if you are a professional who is on a lawnmower all day, every day for your business, then you're going to need to change it based on the amount of hours you're putting on the machine, rather than just doing it once for the season. For most residential applications, though, right before season starts, getting everything serviced up is fine. So, but there again, it's all based on hours. Just most people don't put the amount of hours on their machine in a year to warrant needing to change oil halfway through a season. So, and when we're talking about hours, guys, most machines are going to have some sort of apparatus that's going to show you how many hours are on it. I just turned the key on this one, and you'll see that you can see it's got 243.3 hours. Okay, is how many hours are on this one. So most pieces of equipment like this are going to have something that counts how long it has been running, because that's the way, because of these things being more seasonal in nature and not going miles like your cars, they're going to have the service intervals based on hours or time that has elapsed rather than miles driven, because we don't drive these things very far. We drive them in a circle around our yard. So, or squares, or whatever you so desire, really. But that being said, we've got all of those things that have to be done, have to be maintained. Now, on a lawnmower, you're doing those things a little more often, as far as like that air filter and spark plug and fuel filter goes. Most automotive applications aren't going to want you to change the fuel filter for, oh man, just depends, but let's call it 30,000 miles, 20 or 30,000 miles. Air filter, most people are going to recommend you to change it every 10, 15,000 miles. Oil and filter change, automotive wise, you're looking typically about they want you to change it once a year or every 3,000 miles to 5,000 miles, depending on oil used and manufacturer recommendations. So everybody's got their own school of thought there. So just because someone has an opinion or someone says something about what their car needs does not necessarily mean that your car is going to need the same exact thing. So make sure that you bear that in mind. So talking about preventative maintenance, guys, I'm just getting ready to do this on my lawnmower to get it ready to use this season, because we're about to get there into that time. So plus it made for a good lesson to talk about. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a look at this motor. Now this is on this one, let's assume that this is one that I've never seen before, and that's how we're going to approach it, guys. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the components that I know need to be serviced and replaced. Okay? Now, first order of business, I can clearly see right here this cap that says oil on it. Well, that's going to be where I'm going to be adding oil. I've also got a little cover here. Looks like it does something. And guys, if you're not sure, just be ginger, but you can always, mess with stuff and see. Okay, so this flaps open and lets this come up, and that right there is my air filter. So a good thing to do, guys, is to check and take a look at that air filter every time that you're going to fire this puppy up for a little while. Just got to make sure that you check it out. There's lots of good stuff up in there too, man. Some leaves and sticks and bugs, and I just power washed this off too, so there's some extra crap in here that normally wouldn't be, but that's part of the game. So here's our air filter right here, guys. Now you can see this thing's pretty dirty, picked up a lot of dust. I'm gonna fold this over so we can look and see. Now guys, right in there you can see we have dust buildup in between those fins. So basically what this thing's designed to do is it's designed to pull air from the side that's facing the camera right now and pulls it through to the back side. So the idea is that all the dirt and debris and stuff in the air comes and hits these pieces right here, gets stuck on the paper, and doesn't make it into the motor. All right. So this guy, he's in bad shape. He really needs to be replaced. So luckily, I'd been to Lowe's and picked us up another one. I probably should have taken it out of the package before we started this deal, but I didn't. So I've got my new air filter, and all I did, guys, to figure out which air filter I needed was I Googled the name and brand of my lawnmower, which is a John Deere Z225. And I Googled that. I found the John Deere part number, and then I looked for, I got on what's called an interchange number website, and basically all it is a website that takes and compares the part number of the factory part for the filter and tells you what the cheaper or other variety of brands would be. So and this is just a part of life, guys, and this finding parts and understanding what you need to do to maintain a machine is something that's very, very important, because you're all going to have machines that take you to work every day. You're going to have machines that you depend on to cut your grass, to maybe supply you with electricity if the power goes out. Maybe it's a machine that you use to supply air pressure in your shop, or to drive a tiller for your garden, or to drive your pressure washer motor, or your motorcycle, four-wheeler, dirt bike, whatever it may be. Lots of things have engines. We've got to maintain them. And you saw, some things like those air filters, they're super easy. It's right there. It's easy to go. Some things are a little less, a little less on the easy side, a little more on the difficult side. And some of that's because of where they are. Some of them take really, really, really small hands to work on, or vehicle or machine-specific tools. So also bear that in mind. Now, this guy in particular, if we take a look down, you'll see that little yellow cap right there, and that's actually something they put on for you to drain the oil out of. So all I've got to do is hook a little, I pull that yellow cap off and hook a piece of rubber hose on there, and the engine oil will actually flow out of there. So and it's just got a little valve that you turn on and off. So it's made with, in this case, is made with the person, that the end user in mind, that's having to actually maintain this thing. They made it easy for you to do that. A lot of manufacturers don't. So, we'll drain the oil out of there, and then we'll take the oil filter off, which is right down there, right by it, and then put a new oil filter on, put fresh oil in it, and the last thing that we've got to do is put in a fuel filter, which that is what's right here in this line. You can see it's kind of dirty, but that's what's right there. And the fuel filter just takes any dirt and debris out of the gasoline that you had in the gas tank, or not in the, in the gas tank too, but in the gas can, or maybe the gas tank. It filters it through that before it goes into the motor, so that you don't get trash and stuff in there, because trash in the motor is going to end up with some problems. So for the lawnmower, the last thing that we're going to do preventative maintenance wise on the motor is the spark plug. And there again, we're going to take and we're going to look for an electrical cable, a big fat one, that's probably about a little bit skinnier than a pencil. And we're going to take and look down, and this one in particular is right here. So all we've got to do is pull that boot cover off, and then find the right size socket that fits it, remove that spark plug, and then run a new one in. And after we've done that, change the oil and whatnot, that motor is going to be serviced. It's going to be fresh. It's going to be ready to take on the trials and tribulations of my yard. Now, the last thing you want to do is sharpen your blades. It's good to do that before every season. Nothing will tick you off more than getting stuck, having to go over and over and over some stuff, or maybe the grass gets a little bit thick, and then all of a sudden the mower doesn't want to do anything. So definitely want to make sure we sharpen those blades, and we may touch on that later. But that's about all the time I've got for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.